welcome back to part 2. So if you haven't seen part 1, I advise you to, because that was the important part, to see how you can extend the length of the leg in the moving doll stamp set. So as you can see, I am lining out the illustration with fountain pen and occasionally wiping off the fibers that are getting stuck and carrying on. So this part is quite slow because if I do any fast movements, I will mess up the line and then we can't really rescue the situation anymore. So slow little movements work well. At this part, I think I'm doing the eye. Have I started doing the eye? Not yet. But when I'm going to start on the eye, I will line out the lower part of the eye first and then extend the top part. So I will make the eye area bigger. So you can see there. Oh yeah, I did do the eyes. And also I am making the pupils very small, dot-like, similar to, again, Tim Burton style. That creates that bit of zombie look as well. And then just working on the winged eyeliner a little bit, and there you can see the eyes are now much bigger than originally stamped. Then it's time to focus on the hair. So give her a nice big fringe because the forehead is big, so it allows for a big chunky fringe, or bangs as you call them in the US. And there I had an idea of long skinny plaits, but I will change my mind at some point and change the hairstyle. So the posture here, as you can see, she's sort of standing straight up and then bending 90 degrees, and everything is kind of drooping to the bottom. So the hair and the arm is all in one direction. Looking at the arm, I think I could have made it even longer, but in the end it looks alright. So the plaits, I'm just creating a straight line down and then wiggling the fountain pen from right to left, creating a softer wiggled line. And that's it. It's really easy. When I turn it this way, as if she's sitting down, the plaits look a bit different. So you can use this posture or pose in different ways. I started first thinking she'll be standing up, bending over, but later on I actually preferred her sitting down and having that typical extended arms zombie look to her. Hence why the hair for me won't be working anymore. But I do have to say, I do like the look, like the original look like this as well. So the messy part is about to start. As I have finished lining everything out and the ink would have been completely dry by then, I then started to erase the pencil marks because the pencil lines were really thick. I used a very soft pencil lead, and so yeah, it just was too thick and messy looking, but it will get even messier. So no eraser with this paper at all. I haven't been able to actually find more details about the paper. I haven't had a chance to look at the Happy Mail video, which I think might have had the info for the paper heaviness and all of that, but I didn't have a chance to find that video. So then it's time to start the fun part, which is sort of coloring in. Usually I start with skin and create a base under layer, but the shoes, I thought I'll start with the shoes this time, and also the hair I wanted to be the same color. So that Uni Posca bronze is a great marker, beautiful color. It's great for like ginger hair because it has that lovely gloss to it, and it's got that, it's not too orange, but it's got that lovely kind of color to it. As a friend of mine would call it strawberry blonde, I suppose. So the shoe is a platform shoe, and I will show you a close-up soon. And then the plaits are done, and everything is looking and moving quite slow at this point because there's loads of details to think about and consider. Believe me or not, I have managed to get rid of about half an hour. I cut away half an hour of my fingers tapping on the desk, making decisions. So yes, I did do shortening of the video so that you would enjoy mostly the action. So I'm starting now by mixing a skin tone. We've got some Naples yellow, and what else do we have? I think buff titanium and some quinacridone red, I think, or quinacridone orange, or quinacridone gold. Where is my palette? I think I put it away, but let me just find it quickly. So I can tell you the exact colors. Okay, so it was quinacridone sienna, and it was buff titanium and Naples yellow, with a touch of opera pink that I think is coming. And I'm doing a very light skin tone. Best thing to do is starting light, and that will be the color of your highlights. So you will build up on the tone of the skin, and you will create loads of dimension that way. But the highlight, so it's not the white of the paper, but it's the lightest of the color palette for the skin tone, that will be what you see right now. So it's also looking very flat, as you can see. So if you wanted to maintain this light Caucasian skin tone, you could do just creating less watery mixes. So same sort of color mixes, but less water. Therefore it will be slightly deeper, and you would create dimension to the skin, and it wouldn't just look unfinished. That's the key. So here I'm going to make another mistake by touching the ink too soon. It hasn't had a chance to dry, that area I just finished drawing the body part. And I basically touched it with a wet brush, and it has moved into the watercolor and made it all dirty and not great looking. So again, you should avoid doing that. Moving on to the face, same thing, a very light watery mix of the watercolor going all over the face, and then I will start considering where I want there to be darker shadowy kind of bits. Also think about where you want the light source to come from left, right, top, bottom, and then the opposite side would be the darker side. As the watercolor is still wet, I applied some opera pink, which I love. Opera pink, although it's not a light fast color, it is so significant in elevating a lot of colors and bringing that beautiful brightness. You can't do that with any other color. So it's a really useful color and often used in skin mixes when you don't need like a light fast color application. So if you're, for example, going to be selling prints and things like that, it's fine to use it, but in the originals you would stay away from it. Or of course your sketchbooks is fine as well, or if you're planning to hang some art, framed art that is not going to be in the light, or like not having any sunshine shining onto it, then that's fine as well. I am adding a little bit of moon glow to darken the skin tone a little bit, and then a bit more of the orange, and this is me now creating a deeper skin tone and also creating dimension to the legs. So in my case, the light source is coming from the left, which means then the opposite side has more depth to it. But of course, think about it this way: you wouldn't just have like complete lightness on one side and complete darkness on another. You still want that dimensional effect. So what I tend to do is add more darkness to the opposite side of light source, but still a little bit on the side of the light source, and then in the middle I'll have like a pop of a highlight. So that's how I like to do it. But you can play with it in different ways. You can shift that highlight to any side that you want, top, bottom, you can just play around with it. And here you can start seeing it's not looking as flat anymore, but still it's a long way to go to get the illustration to pop. And as you look at the illustration throughout the process of it, you will see different levels of depth, highlights, dimension, and that is what is going to make the illustration be vibrant, and I love to say pop. It just does pop. You want it to pop off the page, and that's when you know, or the paper rather, that's when you know that your illustration is ready and finished. There's always a little bit more you could do, refining, but there comes a point where you should be satisfied and think, I am happy with the way it is, although I could carry on a little bit more, but I think it's good now. So that's a point where you know it's ready. So the hairstyle, coming back to it, is super cute. I love it, and I also love the one that it will end up, but the orientation, like I said, to me has changed. So at this point the face looks to me a lot better when I look at it not this way but this way, and therefore it makes it a bit strange with the hair. I don't know, something didn't quite work for me. I wanted the hair then to pull up, like when you look at a string, to have a string from her bum up to the hair like in a straight line. I felt that the hair then being pulled that direction was a little bit weird. So I wanted her hands just to be kind of pulling in that typical zombie posture. So the eyes are always fun, because that's when the illustration becomes a little bit more real. Like when you look how dolls are made, until the eyes go in, they're not the same. So the eyes go in and it's like bang, it's right there, it's how you want it. So same thing with the illustration. I am adding a little bit of color. Typically I prefer to keep within the gray tones of the eyes. It's just a thing for me personally, and then I tend to build it up a little bit, but not too much. I like to maintain the white of the eyes as well. So now I'm considering the outfit. It's very little, very minimal. There's hardly any space for the outfit, but I did want to pick the right color, and I quite like this sort of khaki contemporary color. So I'm going to use the marker, and very soon I realized, doing these even small minute movements, that the fiber of the paper wasn't happy with it. It was sort of scratching up and sticking onto the nib and creating extra texture, which I wasn't planning for on the outfit. So yeah, be sure to really test drive your paper before you're going to do any work on it, because truth be told, I love it on white paper. The background will change later because there was a need for a lot of, correction, and you will see, and it kind of works with the theme as well, really well, the way it ends up. But I do like my illustrations on white paper, and just keeping it white, it's just a thing. So if I wanted to do that, then everything had to work perfectly fine. If you are similar to my mindset, the way you work is similar to that, then yeah, just make sure you really either use the paper that you already know. That's the easiest thing. But if you're trying a new paper because you like the format, like in this case I had this paper there and I thought, why not using it, then make sure you have a good test around, or be adventurous and find a way to solve a problem, which is what I did here. So now the color palette is what I'm considering. I have colors that aren't really bright, so we have a little bit of brightness in the opera pink on the cheeks. We have then what looks like ginger hair, and light colors for the outfit, but basically there isn't much going on. So for the eyeshadow, I wanted something that would pop a little bit more, and so I used this like it's a not poppy green, what's it called? I've got it here. It's the Luminance olive yellow, that's it. I was going to say olive green. No, it's olive yellow, so it's got a bit more yellow to it. And it looked nice, but I will find a way to make it pop even more later on. So here at this point I'm starting to add more depth, but this time not using watercolor but going in with the pencils. I could have built it up more with the watercolor, but I felt that the paper was not responding the way I am usually used to, and so I thought the best way for me to do the shadows and things is just going in with a pencil. And even in this case with the pencil, at certain point it became a little bit challenging, where usually I could still carry on doing layers and layers. Here there was a part where I just couldn't do that. So I'm adding a little bit of pencil to bring some more depth and shadow to the eye area. And also some eyebrows. I realized I didn't put any eyebrows at that point. There are some lovely eyebrow sets, and I've got 4 different shapes of eyebrows, including mono-shaped, monobrow inspired by Frida Kahlo in my FOTD set. So you could totally rock that look. But yeah, I didn't stamp any, so I thought I'll just use pencil to create the eyebrows. And it's a bit of a sort of softer look if you used black, for example. So I went with a nice orange pencil. Lip wise, of course, at this point it was easy. It would be a red lip because, let's face it, gingers do wear a red lip very well. So that's basically the color palette. Mostly the color is in her face, and the lip is, and the eyes, lip and eyes and cheeks kind of pop. And then the rest is just adding more shadowing to her body. And I am skipping between 3 pencils. Let me just see if I can tell you what they are. So they are the Derwent Drawing Pencils, and the 3 colors that I always go between, the darkest being is terracotta, then middle color is Mars Orange, and then the lightest is light sienna. Those 3 pencils for the shadowing of anything around the body, the face. I just love using it quite often when I do face illustration and I don't want any color for the eyeshadow. I just use those 3 colors to create natural looking eyeshadow, and that really works quite well. So then I'm carrying on the body and the legs, and there is where most of the work needs to be done so that it becomes a rounder shape. And so at this point as well, you need to consider the skin tone. If you want it dark, medium or Caucasian, then what you would need to do is add more of the color that you want to end up the skin tone. And then I will also show you, because actually I'm not sure if you can see here, but I think that might be in part 3, the stamped top part of the leg is still visible here because the skin tone is so light, and you can still see the stamped image through a little bit. So I will show you how to correct that, and then it sort of becomes a bit more blended and you don't see it. You basically use that shape as the highlight and leave it sort of light, but towards it you just darken it slightly more. So here you can see that sort of is still quite light, but if I was to build up, the skin becomes darker. At this point it's just about going back and forth between those 3 pencil colors and getting to the point where I'm satisfied with the blending, with the dimension, and you can see still quite a bit more blending can be done. And also consider, is there enough shadow, is there enough light? So I decided it was a good idea to make the eyes pop a little bit more, and I added the eyeliner on top because the pencil kind of made it not as you can see here, it sort of pops a lot more. It's nice and black. The pencil kind of went over the line and made it less sharp. Now it's nicely sharp, and then also I will take it under the under the eye on the lower lash line. Again, that makes the eye be more kind of more highlighted in a way. And you could leave that part. It's up to you how you like the eye makeup. Just think at this point, think about eye makeup. How do you like wearing it? What do you like? If you look at fashion magazines, this is the time to be super creative. Something that you wouldn't wear, for example, in real life, but you adore in a fashion tutorial, then do try to recreate it in this illustration style. That's the time to be creative and free, and just, you know, let your creativity flow and feel like there is no restrictions. And maybe think about color palettes that you wouldn't naturally dare to wear, but it would look really nice. So you can see here suddenly the eyes are really sharp. So now I'm also doing my signature double chalker, and sometimes I do also a single one, but typically double, and I've been doing it for absolutely years and years. So I will see you in part 3 for more fun.